Devin here with DSLR Film Noob, and I wanted to take a quick look at the SpectraHD 4 from F&V. And this is a little bit pricier of an EVF, but before I get into it, let me tell you where I came from to purchase something that's a little over $700 as a dedicated EVF. I originally had one of these, Feel World on eBay. They go by many names, but they go for about $150, $180 to $200, depending on what kind you get. And it worked all right for a while, but maybe you can see here in the video, there's some black over here. I've had lots of lines disappear. There's some lines missing from over here, and I'm not sure if it's the cold temperature or what, but this thing's been dying on me, and I haven't been terribly impressed with any of the features on here. While it does have, your grayscale, blue gun, and all that kind of stuff, and it does have focus peaking. I don't know, the image wasn't great to focus on. The optics got really soft towards the edges and stuff like that, and it just wasn't really a fantastically put together EVF. So after enough lines going out on it and enough trouble with focusing and all that kind of stuff, I decided, hey, let's try to go for something a little better. And so that's where the Spectra 4 HD came into play. Now this is a super solid build. I can't recommend it enough. It is, while there's still a lot of components that are plastic, it is tough. You can tell it's strong metal frame underneath there. The rosette is built out of what looks like some very proper metal there, along with all the mounting points you could ask for, and a small built-in sun hood. It's a little bigger than a lot of people maybe would want for their EVF. But it has all kinds of features. Just going over what's here on the back. First off, you've got what most people are going to be using, which is the HDMI in and HDMI out, but also has that HDSDI input and output up to 1080p. One of the unique features that a lot of other EVFs don't have is the fact that the HDMI input can be turned into SDI output. So you can actually use this as a converter box in a pinch. It won't go SDI from HDMI, but if you're using DSLRs a lot and things like that, it kind of gives you that ability to start using SDI output out of your gear. Basic headphone jack, USB port for firmware updates, and two options for power, both with a screwed kind of a barrel plug, as well as a XLR port here, which also can be wired up for a tally light. They have a small wiring back there, so the tally light can work if you're using this with some kind of switcher system. I love that it uses basic Sony MP batteries because I have a bazillion of those. I like that it locks too. There's no way for this to come out without the release. So I'm always a huge fan of that. And then a protected power switch, so you won't be able to turn it off by accident. So it does take a second or two for it to boot up, but after that, it is good to go. And so super sharp, clear image. You can tell that this is an IPS here. You could tell that this is definitely, a mark above a lot of other EVFs. Very easy to pull focus on. High resolution monitor, great colors too. I haven't even gotten into calibrating this thing yet. To me, it just looks fantastic. For an extra $100 or $150, you can get the loop as well. One of my disappointments though with this loop is the fact that I don't know if it's because it's shipped through the cold or something like that, but mine doesn't fit. I actually have to squeeze the bottom in order to get it to fall into place and latch down here on the bottom. And that's a little unfortunate considering the price of it. So it may be just a small warping thing that happened because of shipping, or it may be a bigger issue across their entire line. But other than that, I love the fact that it uses an actual friction mount. I hate the magnetic things. I know people think that it's convenient for it magnetically to hold itself shut and open, but when you're throwing the camera around in and out of vehicles and stuff like that, I appreciate something like that. Another thing that is impressive though is the optics on this, and I was really surprised. All the edges are sharp. It looks super great. I love that to change from left eye to right eye, it's a locking system, as opposed to like shimming the rubber around. I found it interesting too that they put a basic 52mm thread here on the end that allows them to put on just a basic UV filter. So a really smart, great way to go about it. Two big knobs here to give you that diopter so you can adjust it for your eyesight. But overall, I think that this guy looks absolutely great, and I love all the features that he comes with. I'm just going to go through a few here. It does have a pixel-to-pixel punch-in system, which is kind of nice for focusing. It doesn't it has a punch-in system, but you got to flip through the menus. Pixel to pixel is the only way I can find right now to have it punch in. I'm hoping that'll change with firmware in the future. But you do have a brilliant vector scope here, as well as any other scope you could want. You have custom markers. You can choose how dark to make those markers, what aspect ratio, or you can customize in from the left and right and the top and the bottom. So it's great for people who are going to go letterbox later or want to shoot a more cinematic format, that they can just flip that on and use this EVF to keep an idea of it, as well as tons of options for setting the peaking, which is what I'm looking for, a super great focus. So we can take a real quick look through the menu system here. And you'll see right now I've got the backlight set to 24, and it's doing just fine. I think the backlight cranked up to 100, you're going to have no problems in direct sunlight. But here's all your basic settings for color correcting and things like that. The more interesting settings are actually kept within the display and frame guide. So here you've got a few different options, and I'll let you dive through the manual and really figure this stuff out. But I'll point out the ones I like. For example, Anamorphic D Squeeze. So you can actually set this up through a few different anamorphics, 1.3 and 2.0, and this is one of those that they added with that firmware update that allows you to shoot anamorphic and have this monitor squeeze it for you, which is something that a lot of EVFs under $1,000 don't give you. So it's definitely nice to have just in case you're ever interested in shooting with anamorphic, especially with more and more lens manufacturers coming out with anamorphic options and anamorphic adapters. Here under frame guide, you've got, your center markers, your safety areas, and what color you want to make it, as well as custom placement for your safety markers. So as well as having, NTSC and all the broadcast markers, you can make your own custom ones, which gives you, I love that total flexibility so that, to fit whatever shooting situation you're in. And it's not just vector scopes, of course. You've also got your luminance, you've got waveform, you've got every kind of chart you could want on this thing, which I'm a huge fan of that. And you see those built-in audio levels there that it's picking up over the HDMI is fantastic. So you don't need to take your eyes off the EVF in order to see what you're shooting. And that's just a basic overview of the F&V SpectraHD 4. While it is a little bit bigger of a package, for people who are really rigging up with a lot of weights and external batteries and things like that, I don't think it's obscene, and especially if you're not that interested in using the loop, because like I said, with full brightness, this thing will compete with the sun, no problem. This is actually just a fantastic monitor that doesn't weigh too much. I noticed that it doesn't get too hot. Of course, like a lot of these smaller packages, it does get warm to the touch. But I think overall, I have no trouble, even with focus peaking off, getting critical focus on this monitor, especially when you add the loop if you're working outdoors or you're working a lot where you need that kind of accuracy. So definitely something interesting to keep an eye out for. I got it on sale, and I think if you see it on sale, you should definitely buy it too. For more information, check out the links below.